Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. I am Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning and probate attorney, and the host of the podcast. I am so thrilled to have you with us today. We're here to empower women who value their health, their wealth, and the legacies that they are creating. This podcast delves into a diverse range of subjects encompassing finance, law, mental and physical health, and beyond. Our commitment is to furnish you with invaluable insights, engaging expert interviews, and enlightening episodes that address your questions on wills, estate planning, and probate matters, and more. Remember, this is your community, and we want to hear from you. So please engage with us. Ask questions and suggest topics. Let's build a dialogue. Reach out to us on social media or leave a comment below this podcast. Your input fuels the conversations that we have. You can find all of our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our upcoming content. We would really appreciate you following the podcast and leaving us a 5-star review. Your 5-star reviews will amplify the podcast and get it out to more people. Now, on with the podcast. Today's topic is transforming lives through decluttering and organizing. Joining us to discuss how we do just that is my guest, Mara Dowler, and I'd like you to welcome her to the podcast.
Hi, Elsa. Thank
Hi,
you for
Mara.
having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I want to share a bit about you with our podcast audience. Mara Dowler is a platinum level KonMari consultant and certified Organized 365 paper solution organizer. She has personally experienced surprising, positive, life-changing effects through the KonMari method of decluttering and organizing, as well as the Organized 365 Sunday basket system and paper solution binding system. The most profound effects she has experienced are the shift in her perspective, the reinforcement of her values, and the clarity of her priorities. Her personal journey inspired her to create Bluebird Home Organizing, LLC, in 2019 to help others discover their own life-changing magic. She believes that with the proper tools and guidance, anyone can get and stay organized. Often, the result is so much more than a tidy home. It's a personal transformation from a chaotic lifestyle to a calmer one. Mara happily serves clients virtually throughout the United States and in person along the Connecticut shoreline, where she lives with her husband and their 4 sons. Again, Mara, thank you so much for being here and for being so gracious with your time. It's just a joy to have you, and I cannot wait to talk about this subject.
Yes, we have a lot to talk about. So thank you very much for having me. It's my honor.
You're so welcome. So let's jump right into it. Tell us about your why. Why do you do this stuff? And, why do you feel that it's so important?
It is so important. So I had no intention of becoming a KonMari consultant, but I was at a phase of my life where I was just so overwhelmed with everything that I was doing. I'm the mother of 4 children. My husband and I were just caught up in the busyness of, their schedules, both of us working full time, and I would look around and just not have time to deal with all the clutter and excess stuff that we had acquired over the years. And so it was very stressful. And I just felt that, it was starting to affect me physically. And so I felt like I was craving order and, in the midst of chaos. And so I found Marie Kondo's book and I read it and couldn't believe, what she was saying. It really spoke to me. And her book is called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And for me, it really was truly life-changing. And I just wanted to share, that with other people. I wanted to help them feel as good as I did after even just the first category of, her method.
Now, before we go on, I'm going to stop you right there because I know who Marie Kondo is.
Yeah.
I love her. But for those of us who don't, could you please enlighten us on who she is and tell us about the amazing work that she does?
Sure. So she is a guru of sorts. She's from Japan, and she has her first book is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. She has other books as well. And she has a Netflix series, and she's pretty popular in the media, I would say. But her method, called the KonMari Method, goes by order of category as opposed to location. Some people like to, declutter and organize room by room, but her method goes by category. And so she said in her book, this is what got me, is that she says in her book that if you follow her method in the right order, you'll never revert to clutter again. And that was music to my ears because I had always tried different organizing methods and, different like tips and tricks and hacks and all that kind of stuff. And nothing ever stuck. I, was so energized and motivated and, to start something new and really, get on the ball. and it would just end up in frustration because nothing ever stuck. But with Marie Kondo's method, after reading her book, I was so, energized by the idea of it that I put it to the test. I gave myself 6 months while I was, busy with the boys and working full time. And I just said, I'm going to do this. And just even in the first category, which is clothing, her categories are clothing first, then books, then paper, then miscellaneous, which is basically everything else in your house, and then sentimental last. And that's really important because the sentimental stuff is this, the stuff that's the hardest to make decisions on, whether to keep or let go. But also what really spoke to me is the idea of gratitude and intention. It's a very introspective process, which I think is why it works and why it sticks and why you don't revert back to the clutter, because you've invested so much time and energy and you really have become, clearer on your priorities, what's important to you, because you're making decisions on all of your things. Is it important to keep? So her like kind of shift in perspective is not, what can I get rid of? What can I let go? I'm purging everything. It's more like, so her famous, line is, does it spark joy? And that means, does it speak to the heart? Does it serve a purpose? So, the shift in perspective right there, when you're looking at each of your items and holding them and trying to figure out, do I keep it or do I let it go? Is this important to me right now or in the future? Or, does it have such strong, emotional, attachment that that you want to keep it? So it's all about keeping what sparks joy and letting the rest go.
So tell us about, the training and certifications that you received to really equip you to be a top-notch consultant.
Oh, yeah. So it's quite a process. So first you have to, read her book and do the method on your own things.
Mhm.
Then you apply to her certification course. And if you get accepted, then you go. I think at the time, she was only accepting 100 people. I'm not sure if that's changed, but 100 people, in each course. And the funny thing is, when I first looked into it, she only offered, I think, 2 or 3 courses in a year and accepted 100 people to each one. So I looked online. I was like, oh, good, there's one in New York, and I'm in Connecticut, so I'm like, that's convenient, it's right there. And I filled out the form and I got the automatic reply that said, thank you for your interest. You're number 350 on the waiting list. I was like,
Wow.
what? So, I was like, oh gosh, I'm sure I'm not going to get in. So sure enough, I did not get in, but I was really disappointed, but I kept, checking back. And several months later, there was another course that she offered. And this time it was in California. But I just knew that I had to do this. I had to, follow my heart. And So I went out to California for the weekend. I did the certification course. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Met so many great people. The community is just, so welcoming, and just, it was just so great in so many ways. Marie Kondo was there, and just to be in her presence was very magical. Um, so after the weekend long certification course, then you have to have practice clients. You have to lead them through the whole KonMari marathon, all the categories. Then another one, just a few, sessions with a separate, a second client. And so then with each session, you submit photos and reports of the sessions. Then when that's all finished, you take an online test, and then you have an interview with one of the KonMari team members, and then you become a certified organizer. So there's a lot of steps to that.
I just want to underscore a couple of things that really spoke to me as you were sharing your journey. One is the fact that you did this, and you're at the same time, you're a wife and you're a mom, a busy mom.
Yeah.
Right?
And working full time.
and working full time. Right. Yeah. So
yeah.
That just speaks to me of your focus, your intention. And I just want to highlight that, to the, for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then, going through the process, you realize that, okay, you're on this wait list, but another opportunity then, or at least another location was
Mm-hmm.
made available, and you jumped on it. Why?
Yeah.
Because you said that it spoke to you. You knew that it was what you had to do.
Yeah, it really was a leap of faith, but I just felt so strongly about following my heart. And, I think going through the KonMari method and all the life-changing things that came with it, I really, believe that had a lot to do with it. Just like, figuring out my priorities and yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, Mara, tell us about what the process is like to work with you.
So, when people contact me, either word of mouth or they find me, through Google and my website or whatever, we set a date to have a complimentary discovery call. And that's all, that's to figure out, like, what are their challenges? What are their goals? How can I help them? And then, we schedule a visit. That's the welcome session. And that's where, I tell them in the discovery call, don't go out and buy any, bins and storage solutions yet, because we don't know how much you're going to have left, once you decide what to keep and what to let go. And, it'll be very, specific to their storage or their space, their needs. So, and also I like to use what they have on hand, like as we're clearing the clutter and deciding on all their things. Bins, boxes, baskets become available because we're emptying a lot of things. So I like to use what they have on hand and then make it functional for their lifestyle. So, I also ask them to really envision what their ideal lifestyle is. How do they want their home or their office to look and feel and function for them and their family, or, whoever they share their space with. And then at the welcome session, we discuss what they've talked about, or, what they've thought about as far as their ideal lifestyle. And then we get right to it. We start in with the clothing category. If they're in for the whole KonMari, some people hire me just to help them with their home office or their, offsite office. Because I have a separate paper certification from Organize 365. You had mentioned that earlier, the Sunday basket and the binder system. And that was kind of a secondary thing for me, because when I did the whole marathon myself and I got to the paper category, my anxiety ramped up a little bit. And I noticed the same thing with my clients. They're like, oh, paper, like, can we just skip the paper? Do we really have to do the paper? Yes, we really have to do the paper. And, Marie Kondo says, just get rid of it all. There's not a lot of paper that we need, which is true, but people are very comfortable being able to put their hands on a piece of paper or print something out to remind them or write a note or something like that. So Lisa Woodruff is the founder of Organize 365. And so I found her through her podcast. And she has a product called the Sunday Basket, which she created on a Sunday, and that's why she named it that. And she does her Sunday Basket time. But it's a way to manage all of your active papers and things that need action, action items, like things that you have to do, but also things that maybe you're waiting for, or like you don't want to put them away in a filing cabinet because out of sight, out of mind. So this Sunday Basket, it's actually right behind me. Where's the,
Oh, okay.
And it's all your active papers go in there. If it's, the mail, you can just throw the mail in there and deal with it when you have time. But the key is to go through the basket every week, so nothing falls through the cracks. It's a way to manage all your to-dos and your active papers and tasks. So that's kind of a supplemental thing that I do, because paper is a whole nother animal. I think it's definitely its own category, but there's a lot to it. Papers they pile up, but they also have a different level of importance and different time attached to them. So it's a great tool to help people manage and organize their papers.
Some people, well, as they're watching us, and just as a reminder, if you've just joined us on the podcast, the topic today is transforming lives through decluttering and organizing. And I'm here with the owner of Bluebird Home Organizing, Mara Dowler. People may wonder, like, well, Elsa, you own an estate planning firm, and what does that have to do with decluttering and organizing? Very much, which is the reason why I wanted you as a guest on the podcast, because what I get clients to understand is that, as and it's not just for people, reaching the end of life, because we encourage everyone, every adult, to at least start their estate planning journey. But part of that is getting your ideas organized on what you want your legacy to be. And it's not just about the things that you own, but those things are a big part of it, right? Where, what items that mean something to you, heirlooms and so forth. Actually putting action to thought as to where you want to rehome those items, who you want to bless those items with. That all requires intention, and it requires you to get organized. One of the things that we offer our clients, we get them actually to fill out a spreadsheet and actually list each item and who they want those items to go to, after they pass away. And that's a process, just like, working with you, it's an internal transformation that goes on when they have to actually sit down and think about what they have. First of all, they realize how much stuff they have.
Yes. Everybody is very surprised at how much stuff they have acquired. Yeah.
Well, whether it's an attic or a basement, you realize that there's so much stuff there. And that hopefully prompts you to say, wow, I need to declutter. There's way too much stuff here. Why have I been hanging on to this? And we're going to talk about the whys and the psychological part of the decluttering and organizing process shortly. But I just wanted to just share with the podcast audience that there are definitely, ties into what I do as an estate planner and how I help my clients, and what Mara does through decluttering and helping her clients just move, as she says, from, chaos to calm, right? Are you in Maryland or DC embarking on your estate planning journey? Let us guide you through the process. Join us for a complimentary 15-minute call with a member of our team. There's no obligation. Check out the show notes for the scheduling link. Your first step towards securing your family's future starts here. So, since we're talking about transformations, could you or would you describe at least one or two of the transformations that really are the most impactful in your mind?
With clients?
Yes, with clients.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So one in particular comes to mind. He's an older gentleman, and his children were kind of, on him to organize all his papers and get things. His office was quite full, let's say, of, accordion files and crates and filing cabinets and just paper everywhere, surfaces of multiple desks, and just a lot of paper. And also in outside of his home office too, in the garage, there was a lot of things from years that had piled up. And so, the adult children were trying to say, Dad, you really got to get a handle on all this stuff. If you need to find something, you're not going to be able to find it because there's so much stuff around here. So I will say that he was very organized. Everything was labeled. However, he held on to everything from decades. I mean, we're going through things from the 80s and earlier. And it was personal and business files, which also were separated. So, I give him a lot of credit. He was very organized with the labels and everything. It was just that he held on to everything. And you don't have to hold on to everything, especially after a certain number of years. But that's the biggest challenge for a lot of people, is that they don't know when they can let go of something, whether it's paper or anything else. But if you can't find it when you need it, that's the problem. And as people get older and, they need to start thinking about, their estate planning, and I don't even mean like older. I mean, like once you have kids, and then you have to update it, and then you have to update it again. And, but you also want people to be able to find things if you can't. So, say you're in the hospital or something happens to you, or something happens to your spouse or or a parent or a loved one. If you don't know where to go to find what you're looking for, it's going to be a lot of time, a lot of stress. Usually it's not a good situation anyway. So you're probably stressed out about, the emotional level of what's happening in your life or their life. So when you can find things quickly and easily, that just takes off so much pressure and, leads from the chaos to the calm, and because you have a lot of other things going on. But yeah, when there's too much, you're just weeding through all these things that you don't need, and it just takes a lot of time to find what you do need. So.
And what did it look like when that particular client, the one with the boxes and everything, when you got him to the other side, so to speak? What was that like for him?
Well, interesting turn of events. This was sort of recent, and so we made really good progress together. And he actually found me through our local chamber of commerce, and he came to one of my workshops, and I could see that he was very overwhelmed. And he said, can you help me be on this workshop? And so that's when I started doing one-on-one in-home sessions with him. And I could see that he was struggling some things were bordering on sentimental, because he created a business from his heart. I mean, it was his baby. And so things from years ago, even if it was just like a promotional thing, he didn't want to let it go. So that's another thing. Like within each category, there are other categories. Like we're talking about paper, but there's sentimental in the papers. There's other things. So anyway, so we worked together for maybe 2 months or so. And then he got COVID. He went into the hospital and he passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was very upsetting. I got to know him, and it was very sad for me, but the family was distraught, and they were, very sad, but they were so grateful that he had found me, and that we had already done so much work, and that I was familiar with his situation, and I could keep working and help them find what they need. And so it was, the family was very grateful, which made me very happy. It was my pleasure to help him anyway, because I love doing this. But, but it also meant a lot to me that I could be there for them, when they needed it, because they needed to find so many important documents. He had everything in order, which was, very, fortunate, but it was just a lot to weed through. So
Wow. Thank you so much for
Mhm.
sharing that. And that's real life. That's a
Mhm.
real practical way of how what you do um, brings comfort
Mhm.
to families, because it lowers that stress level of
Mhm.
not knowing where things are.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you were kind of like, I would imagine, like that light in a very dark period for that family. So wow, what a blessing you were
Yeah.
to that family.
Yeah,
um,
it was, and I got to know the family. That's one of the things I love about my job is I really get to know my clients, and they become like friends and or family members sometimes. It's just, it's great.
what do you find are maybe 3 or 4 like common pain points among your clients?
So I think a lot of people come to me for the general, basic same reasons. They either can't find things, they are overwhelmed with all this stuff in their homes,
Mhm.
um, and they want to feel more in control. They want to stop spinning their wheels. And there's a statistic out there that's I think the average American wastes 55 minutes a day looking for things.
Wow.
So that adds up to like 2 weeks in a year, like just looking for things like keys, documents, your phone, your shoes, like, anything. And that resonates with a lot of people. But when they hear like there's that much time that you're wasting in a day just trying to find things. So when everything has a designated space, you can find it quickly and easily when you need it. And that's basically what people want. And then because of that, there's more of, a sense of control. There's just like a peace and a calm that comes with that, because there's peace of mind knowing where your documents are and you be able to find them when you need them. There's peace of mind with the Sunday basket, because anything that is pending or to do is right there. It's waiting for you. And I think the biggest thing is people say that, they don't have the time to do this. But then it gets to such a level that they're like, okay, something has to change. So that's the thing. And I always say the key, solution is you. If, whatever system you commit to, I can teach you, I can guide you, I can help you along. And then you have to put in the time. So I love, teaching people these different systems and just, helping them figure out what's important to them. How do they want to live their life? But it's, I'm not doing the work, they're doing the work. So, yeah, so I think that's, I don't know if I answered your question
Yeah,
properly.
you did. You did, because you're basically you said that if people are coming to you, they're frustrated. First of all, they're overwhelmed,
Mhm.
and more often than not, they say, "I just don't have time to do this. I don't
Right.
have time."
Right.
Right.
But if you don't
Uh,
schedule it in, it's not going to happen. Like papers are not going to file themselves. Laundry's
Although
not going
we
to put
would
itself
like
away.
that, it'd be great if they
It would
could.
be great. Yeah, yeah. But when everything has a designated space in your home and you put it back where it belongs, then you're not wasting your time looking for stuff. You're not spinning your wheels. So people are more on schedule too when, they're not late anymore.
Good,
Mhm,
very good point. So we
mhm,
talked about, how people come to you. They're in chaos, they're overwhelmed, they're just about ready to like throw up their hands and just give up. And
mhm,
we also had a glimpse of how your work actually, not only helps the individuals that you serve, but also that can help their families as well.
mhm,
Right. So there's that additional benefit.
mhm.
And we saw what life looks like on the other side. However, I want to know if at some point during the process, people are like, I can't do this. This is overwhelming. Just stop.
Yes. Yes, that happens. I've been calling that the messy middle.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, people are, they're a little nervous and they don't, they're in a vulnerable position because they don't want somebody to come into their house and see how they've been living, and just was just with a lot of clutter and chaos around. So,
There's like shame, right?
yes,
There's
yes.
shame in that.
Right. And I always tell people I was there. This is why I got into this, because I was at a level of overwhelm and looking around, and, there was still like baby stuff in the attic, and there was kids' toys and bikes and stuff in the garage that people had outgrown. Like, I just didn't have the time, to deal with any of it. But once you commit to the process, that's when the magic starts happening. So, but people are embarrassed. They don't want me to see, how they live, but I tell them I did it myself. I've been in your shoes. There's no judgment here. No judgment. And, so yeah, so there's that emotion. And then, by the end of the session, almost everybody says, wow, I can't believe how much we got done in one session. And I feel so great. Like, they feel energized, and, the energy seems to have shifted in the room or the closet, or, the space in their home that we've been working in. And, so then they're motivated to go on. And I say that they can do homework in between our sessions, or, we can pick up where we left off the next time I come over. And then, it gets to a point, we've gone through the clothing, we've gone through the books, we're in the midst of the papers, and it just looks messier than when we started, but we're doing the big purge. We're making all the categories of, like what they're keeping, in the categories that the keep papers are going into. And I always tell them it's going to look a little worse before it gets better, but just, stick with the program. And, so then, and they start feeling like almost like discouraged, and like, oh, like we've done so much, but we have so much to do. And just, they stop and they look around, and I said, I get it. It's a lot. Look how far you've come though. We're done with all these categories, or like, look, and the clothing, the stuff that we first worked on is still organized. It's still in order because you're keeping up with it. So it's doable. And, the KonMari method and, the organized 365 systems they're systems and they're methods. And so that right there is comforting, because it's like a roadmap or a blueprint to follow. And, things may happen and, throw us off course. But as long as you can get back on and pick up where you left off, then it's motivating to keep going. So, and I also remind people of their ideal vision. Like when we talked in the discovery call, what did they want their home to look and, feel and function? And, so I always remind them of that too. And sometimes people just need reminders and encouragement, and a reminder that, like, oh yeah, we have done a lot of work, and yeah, this is shaping out to be, how I wanted it. And, but it's okay. And sometimes we just need to take a break, say, take a week off, take 2 weeks off, whatever it is. And then we get back on track and back on schedule, and they're a little more, rejuvenated and energized. But yeah.
Mara, how important is it to have family buy-in when you're working with someone? Because, you as me as the client, I'm trying to work with you and I'm doing my homework and everything. But if I have other people in my family who are just doing the antithesis of what I'm trying to do, they don't put things in place and they don't support me. How do you help clients in those situations?
Yeah,
very good to them?
Very good question, because I get that question a lot, and I've had that experience a lot with clients in their home, and it can be very frustrating for everybody. So I always ask the client, what in the discovery call, who lives in your home with you, and are they supportive of you doing this journey? And a lot of people point their fingers. Oh, my husband's his stuff is everywhere, or my kids this or that. And I say, this is your journey. You have to do your own work first before you can help other people. And when you lead by example, they will start to notice, and they'll start asking you, and they'll be curious, and they may even want to do it themselves. But if it's not an issue for them, it's not an issue for them. If they want to live with their closet in the condition that it's in, and that works for them, that's not a problem for them. So you as the client have to get beyond that and just focus on yourself, and and let it unfold that way. But I always encourage people to have a conversation with the people in their homes and say, this is my project that I'm working on, and you don't have to do it with me and you don't have to agree with it, but I would really like your support because it's something that's very important to me. And even just that conversation can be, very comforting and very effective for them to keep going on their journey, because it's something important to them, and family members and friends should respect that. So hopefully that they do.
The topic of the show, has to do with, transformation, right? And one thing I'd like you to speak to is how decluttering and organizing is a spiritual and perhaps even psychological a process, and why are you particularly equipped to speak on both aspects?
Well, I have a psychology degree. When I went to college for psychology, I loved it. I've always loved personal development, which I now believe is really spiritual development. So, you're working on improving yourself or your life, and, service to others. And it's just, I think it is very introspective. And so you're learning about yourself as you confront all your things, because they're current things, they're things from your past. You're looking at your spending habits. You're looking at, maybe the way your clothes fit, and, how they used to fit. And, a lot of women in particular have a lot of different sizes in their closets. So there's a lot of guilt, there's shame, there's, negative self-talk. And it's not helpful. And we know that's not helpful, but, when you look at the purpose that something is serving or has served for you, then it's a way to shift the perspective on its importance. So I think, you learn to have a lot of grace for yourself during this process, and you can't turn back the clock and say, oh, I wish I didn't buy that, or I wish I did this differently or that differently. It doesn't serve anybody to do that. So, you're here now, and you can, start from here, but it's true that your priorities, really become clear, and, you have grace for yourself, and it is a very spiritual experience. I think there's, one of the things that really spoke to me too about Marie Kondo's method is that, there's a lot of gratitude and intention. So you're thanking something for its service, or the purpose that it served, or the lesson that you learned from it. So it's all very positive, which is why I named my company Bluebird Home Organizing, because the Bluebird is a symbol of peace and joy and happiness and new beginnings and all things positive. So
I love it. And you have a lovely website. The one of the things that, and you brought this to mind as I was listening to you, during the estate planning process, when we get folks to the end, they have this, and I've told people this, they have a feeling of relief.
yes.
There's an exhale that happens after, our signing ceremony. Is there something similar like that happens, when they're at the end of their journey with you?
Yes. People definitely say that the energy in their home has shifted. They feel physically lighter. I noticed that when I just did my closet, like when I was, first doing the KonMari method myself, I was like, wow, like it just felt so different in there. It was like brighter, and, everything fit. I could see everything at a glance. It's amazing. Like it's really, that's the life-changing magic. Like things shift just by doing this, clearing the clutter and keeping what's important. And there is a huge shift, and it happens gradually. But yeah, almost everybody says like, wow, I feel so much better, and it happens, like it feels great after each session, but then they realize it's affecting their daily life. I mean, everybody gets up and gets dressed. So even just with your, clothing category, it's just so much more efficient. And, people are less reactive, and they notice that they're like, and other people notice about them that they're a little calmer because, you know, they're more proactive. They're starting to plan things, and you know, they know where things are. It's really amazing, and it's hard to put into words or have somebody understand if they have never had that feeling before. But it is really quite remarkable.
Mara, as we're drawing to a close, what are a few tips or takeaways that you want the audience to have?
So I would say the first thing is awareness. So if you're aware that something needs to change, that's the first step. And then, you know, committing to the process. Marie Kondo says, you know, you need to commit and visualize your ideal lifestyle. And those things are really important. And really spend time with it. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing this? Because the stronger you are with that vision, the easier it's going to be to stay motivated through the process. And then, you know, you're going to have more time to spend on the things that you want to do in your life. So I would say, yeah, just like remember your motivation. And when you're doing things, it's good to follow a system or a method. So if you get off track, a lot of people are very easily distracted. But when you have a roadmap or a method to follow, it's easier to stay on track. So, and patience and grace for yourself and for people you share your space with.
Outstanding. I'm going to show everyone your website, and that's bluebirdhome.net. Again, bluebirdhome.net. And I'm going to leave it up there for just a second. Could you share whether you're on social media and where other places people can find you?
Yes, I am on Facebook and Instagram, and there are links on the website for those two platforms. And people can email me. I think my cell phone is also on the website. They can reach out, and then we schedule a time to have a chat and see how I can help them and what their goals and challenges are.
Well, great. I understand that you have a promotional offer that you wanted to share with the audience.
Yes, I would love to offer 10% off on a welcome session. And I work with people in their homes. I have traveled as far as Florida, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. And I also work with people virtually.
Yeah, I was hoping that you'd say that, because that's a big draw for people if they can just hop on, a web conference, a video conference with you. That's outstanding.
Yeah, and I have a newsletter that they can sign up for on my website also. It's just once a month. I don't want to clutter up anybody's inbox, so I send tips and inspiration once a month through my newsletter. And I also have a online community that we meet every Monday. And I call it Motivational Mondays, and people are either doing their Sunday basket things, or they're they're scheduling in the time to do things that maybe they've put off all week, making a certain phone call that they know they're going to be on hold with for a while, or responding to a bunch of emails, or whatever they need to do. It's very quiet, productive co-working time, but it's scheduled in, because if you don't schedule it in, it's not going to happen.
Oh, how true. True. Everyone, Mara Dowler, owner of Bluebird Home Organizing. Mara, it's just been a joy to talk with you, and I could probably speak with you for another hour. We do need to wrap up, but you've provided us with so much helpful information. You are a resource. The fact that you can work with folks from really almost anywhere, online, and you also do in-person consultations as well, is outstanding. The service is so needed. And congratulations to you on your business. And I wish you nothing but continued success. And again, thank you for being such a gracious host and being gracious with your time.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much, Elsa. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Everyone, wasn't she a fabulous guest? And I hope that you really got something, actually quite a few things from this podcast. I know I'm going to go back and play it again and listen to it again, because there are things that I know that I can apply to my own life, not only personally, but professionally. As a business owner, there are things that, particularly as a lawyer, we're amassing papers and documents, and we're always on the lookout for ways to streamline and improve the amount of clutter, or decrease the amount of clutter that we have. And estate planning, involves organizing and streamlining one's assets and affairs to, facilitate a smoother transition of wealth once you pass away. And decluttering is a process of simplifying and organizing the physical and financial aspects of life, right? And the two are interconnected. And an organized estate can be more easily managed and transferred. At the law offices of Elsa W. Smith, we assist individuals who reside in Maryland and the District of Columbia who are getting started with their estate planning. If you're ready to start with your estate plan, I invite you to schedule a free 15-minute call with a member of our team. There's absolutely no obligation. The link will be below in the show notes. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. Until next time, this is attorney Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning and probate attorney. Stay informed, stay empowered, and take control of your legacy.